Hi everyone, I am just adding Utkarsh. Hi everyone, Utkarsh is just joining in a minute. Utkarsh, I have sent you an invite, please accept it.
Hello, sir. Hi.
Hi Utkarsh, thank you for joining in this live chat.
Thank you so much for
Uh,
inviting me.
no, pleasure is all ours, and I am pretty sure that your experience today is going to help a lot of people. Many people have filled a form, which we had floated. And people would really need and love your guidance. I'm pretty sure about it. Hi Pratik, hi Bhanupreet, welcome everyone who are attending this call. Just to introduce Utkarsh currently is a MBA candidate, an MBA student at SP Jain, Mumbai, and he has a great score of 770. I mean, trust me, I have taken GMAT. I know so many people, my friends, my classmates from ISP who are taking GMAT. When 770 is not an easy game. It is not an easy score to get. This I'm telling to everyone who have joined the call, who are right now preparing for GMAT. So that's why I wanted to invite Utkarsh and to just know about how exactly did he prepare, and what were the resources did he use, uh, and because he had a 720 once, he still wanted to better his score, and that's how he got to 770. So, Utkarsh, formal welcome to this live from Faith Career. And
Thank you so much,
the
sir.
first question that I want to ask you definitely, and many people would want to know, that how long did it exactly take you to prepare? Also tell
So, sir,
everyone
right.
also tell everyone from the CAT preparation perspective, like you had already prepared for CAT. So after CAT preparation, how long did it take you to prepare to reach a 720? After 720, how long did it take you to reach 770? Because this is the most important question as of now.
Okay. So, GMAT was never my first option. I was preparing for that. I was looking for IIMs as an option. Then I got my first job at Hyderabad,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived in Gachibowli where the ISB campus is. So I was just strolling around, and I went and saw the ISB campus, and then I got to know about what ISB is, and ISB does not accept the CAT score, CAT or
Mm-hmm.
SAT score. So then I searched about it, and then I got to know about the GMAT examination. So in 2020 July, I started preparing for GMAT exclusively. Before that, I used to prepare for CAT examination. I took CAT in 2019, 2020, 21 as well. So I had a very good hang of quant and some of the aspects of GMAT verbal examinations as well, specifically reading comprehension.
Mm-hmm.
So July is when I exclusively started preparing for GMAT, and it took me 3.5, 4 months to take the examination. I took a coaching that helped me cover the parts that were not a part of, exclusively not a part of GMAT examination, say
Right.
data sufficiency, critical reasoning, sentence correction. They were not a part of CAT examination, but a part of GMAT examination. So I took a coaching.
Where,
Uh,
where did you take the coaching?
so I was a part of Crack Verbal. I joined Crack Verbal for my GMAT preparation.
Online
So
or
it was
offline?
online. It was online coaching. So I
Only
took a
for
full
verbal
demo
or
from.
for quant as well?
Yes, it was a comprehensive package. It covered everything. The name of the company is Crack Verbal, but it had everything. So
Okay, fine enough.
right. So Crack Verbal used to have these weekend classes where I used to have live classes, and mostly they used to have doubt clearing sessions in the weekdays. So in the weekdays, I used to focus on my CAT preparation, and during the weekends, I used to attend those live classes to bridge that gap of CAT and GMAT. So that is how I was balancing between both CAT and GMAT in my first attempt. And initially, I was scheduled to take my GMAT in October itself before the CAT examination. But then I realized that I was not at my peak potential and I might not score what I was expecting. So I was expecting somewhere around 710, 720 based on my mock performances. So then I postponed my GMAT examination to post CAT. So CAT happened in November, and I took a GMAT examination in December. That is what happened in my first attempt when I got a 720 score. Right.
Okay, so what is the bridge to what is the to bridge? I mean, what are the things that one needs to bridge this gap between 720 and 770?
So I had a Q50, which I got in my 770 score as well. So the only problem the only gap that I saw was in the verbal section.
Right.
So I realized that I was facing problem in sentence correction. Reading comprehension was my strong suit, and I did well in my CAT examination as well. Though the CAT RC is comparatively easier to read and comprehend as compared to what we see in GMAT. GMAT RCs are short, but they are very difficult to comprehend because they have, varied sources, and they come from a different league of writers, right? So I realized that I need to bridge that gap. The only thing that can help me was the verbal section. So exclusively focused on solving more and more sentence correction questions and critical reasoning questions. And to be very honest, I did not solve any of the questions from, external vendors or external third parties. I only relied on solving questions from the official guide and verbal review book, because I have been told specifically by a lot of instructors that there are some of the misleading questions which are not at par with what is expected or what is asked in the GMAT examination. So my plan was to only solve the official bank, the official guide, and the verbal review, and to take quality mocks from official MBA.com mocks and Kaplan Emeritus. That was my only plan. So
what advisor?
Kaplan Emeritus.
But you just said you did not use any third party, no?
Yeah. So third party vendors for practice as such. But for mocks, I took Kaplan Emeritus.
Achha, for mocks,
so there are a lot of questions floating in the GMAT club which are very misleading. They are not of the actual quality or actual level of what is asked in the actual GMAT examination. So I've been told not to solve all those questions, or maybe practice questions from that portal itself. So I only stuck with the official guide and practice the OG book. That's all. So
okay, fine enough. Fine enough. So let's go back to your resources again. You took coaching at Crack Verbal. That's fine. Yes. And then for the resources you used OG. Yes. I'm sure you must have used verbal review also.
Yes, verbal review and quant review both.
Quant review both. Okay. And how many editions? Only one edition each of these three books, yes, or some other editions also?
Yes, I was solving only the 2020 edition. I did not go for the latest edition because I was told that there are very limited editions to the new version. So it's people can skip going for the latest edition unless they have unless they have a very high urgency.
Okay, fine enough. And where did you buy the books from? Did you buy the original books, or did you buy some photocopied ones?
No, yeah. So the Crack Verbal coaching provided me with the PDFs. I still have those PDFs, and I have been preparing from those PDFs itself. So I did not buy the hard bind copies for those.
Okay, fine enough. Was it easier to prepare from the PDF? Many people are not very comfortable preparing for the PDF.
So I have been using PDFs and soft copies since a long time. So I was comfortable, but I have seen people using hard copies, and they are very comfortable in solving questions through hard copies. So I would recommend people to start with the soft copy first. And if they do not, if they feel that they are not able to solve from the soft copies, then they should only move to the hard copies. Okay. Otherwise, my recommendation to not spend a lot of fortune on buying all those hard copies.
Right. And anyway, GMAT preparation has become very expensive.
Right.
The even exam has become more expensive now. Okay. Fine enough. So you practice from these three books, and then MBA.com must have given you through two
right.
mocks, right?
Right. So I'll tell you how it started. So yes, this is something that I have been recommending to everyone who reach out to me, to first take a baseline test to understand where you stand. So somebody told me to take a free mock from MBA.com. She was a CAT instructor, and now she was segueing into GMAT, and she has been doing it for a long time now. So she told me to take a baseline mock test from MBA.com. So I took the first free mock that comes with the MBA.com package, and my score was 650. And they give a
Okay.
very brief, outline of where I was strong, what are my weaknesses. And I mean, I found out that data sufficiency was something which I was not very true or
Hmm.
clear with, because it was not a part of CAT examination, and I've never done data sufficiency before. And apart from that, I was suffering. I mean, weak in sentence correction as well as critical reasoning. But critical reasoning was comparatively better because it was a part of that examination,
Right.
and I've done some of the critical reasoning before. So
Okay.
sentence correction was something that I realized that I need to work on, and that has really helped me getting a 720 score, as well as I think it has a very strong hand in getting me a 770 score as well.
Okay. So you were saying sentence correction is the uh,
Is the make or break,
top.
I think, in my opinion.
It's a
Yeah,
make or break. Okay, even I agree because I didn't have a 770, but I did have a 730. And during my time, 730 used to be considered as a great score. Today,
absolutely.
730 is an average score, not really a very great score. And even I have, when I used to talk a lot about GMAT, I have stopped talking about GMAT lately because I consider myself very old. I took like exactly 7 years ago. But even I am completely, in accordance to what you just said, that, sentence correction can be the make and break reason for your high score or a low score. If you, because it's very easy to master sentence correction. Also, it takes very less time to get the questions correct, right?
Right,
Like
right, right.
you can attempt the sentence correction in less than a minute. Not even in less
Exactly.
than 20 to 30 seconds, you will be able to find the correct answer
And
and then move ahead.
you can spend the remaining time in difficult question, difficult sets such as RC and critical reasoning.
Right.
So it helps in balancing your entire examination test taking approach.
Right. Okay. That's great. So MBA.com, you didn't buy any paid mocks?
Yes, I did. So I also bought the 4 extra mocks that were not a part of the free package. So in total, I bought 6 mocks from MBA.com, 3 from Kaplan, and 3 from Veritas. So total, I bought 12 mocks, and I had some mocks from IMS, which were bundled with the CAT mocks as well. So those were mostly for practicing and churning out some questions. That's all.
Okay. So, but MBA.com must have bought only four, now two comes free, I guess, right?
Yes, yes. So total 6 mocks from MBA.com is what I
And
spent.
Kaplan
Six.
and Veritas, you ended up buying it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so
I was
many,
told, yeah, I was told to look into the Manhattan mocks as well, but then after several discussions and a lot of conversation, I got to know that Manhattan mocks are not very close to the actual examination. They are tough, so I did not spend my money on that.
so during my time, I think Manhattan were the go-to mocks, and
Yeah,
Kaplan was very bad, and Veritas were like so-so. But
yeah.
of course, things changed, and that's
Things
the
change.
reason
Yeah,
I have invited you, and I'm not doing this on my own.
right.
I have also heard lately that Manhattan are not are going down the drain these days.
Yeah, yeah.
During my time, Manhattan used to be considered very good for quants, but not really for wobble.
I think
Okay.
they have recently merged with Veritas or Kaplan. So Manhattan and Kaplan or Manhattan and Veritas are one company now, is what I've heard recently. I don't know
Oh,
the
okay.
exact details.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine enough. So Ashwarya has asked a very good question. If you can answer her, how to take quant score from 49 to 50 or 51? What are the things that can be done according to you?
Right. So simple answer should be to make sure that your easy questions are correct. So if somebody would know how the GMAT examination works, so it's basically divided into 4 sections: easy, very easy, moderate, and difficult.
Hmm.
Right. So score, the first 14 questions, you need to make sure that you have at least 90% accuracy in them. So if
Right.
so it's an adaptive test, right? So if you make questions wrong in the initial part, your questions are going to be easier in the next phase. And
Right.
if you make them correct, your questions are going to be harder. That is how it works
Right.
in GMAT examination. So what worked for me and what haven't worked for a lot of people is that they make a lot of mistakes in the initial part of the GMAT examination, and they end up getting easier questions. And then they come and tell me that they have been having a very good accuracy and they have scored
Huh.
24 correct, 25 correct out of 36 questions or 31 questions.
Right.
But the thing is, you need to make sure that you do the easier questions correctly as compared to doing the later phase of the questions correct, right? So your penalty is slightly lesser for the hard questions as compared to doing incorrect questions for the first half. So I think if somebody is targeting a Q50 or Q51, they need to make sure that have a very high accuracy in the first 14 questions. So that's the key.
Okay. Okay, fine. And the second part of Aishwarya's question is how to take verbal from 30s to 40s. And I think you should be able to answer it because
Yeah,
even my verbal score was
yeah,
39. I couldn't cross
yeah.
40.
So my verbal score was V37 in my first attempt, and then I ended up scoring a V46.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
I think the key here is to get all your I mean the first part is again sacrosanct for verbal section as well. You need to make sure that your easy questions are correct. You cannot go easy on your first two sets of verbal questions.
Hmm.
And the one thing that you can do well is to do to do justice with the RC questions, because RC questions have, so what happens with the RC section is you do not have a varying difficulty in the RC set. So you get a RC set, and it's basically when you get it, it's easy. It's either easy, hard, or difficult. Difficult or very difficult, right? So you need to make sure that all the three questions of that RC set is correct, so that you get the maximum point for that set, as well as getting your your first 14 questions correct. So the focus should be getting your RC set correct and getting your sentence correction questions correct. So that has helped me bridge that gap of getting V37 to V46. So sentence correction is the main thing, because you have the major chunk of questions from sentence correction. I think 13, 14 questions come from sentence correction, and you get 3 or 4 sets from the RC section. So if you can work well in those sections, I think it's very easy to get a V40 plus score.
Okay, that's great. Any tips specifically to prepare for sentence correction and RC?
So for sentence correction, what helped me was to dwell into the basics of the grammatical concepts: subject verb agreement, tenses, phrases, parallelism, modifiers. So I used to think that I have a very good grip in all those concepts. But then when I started solving questions, I realized that I am not very good at those. So you need to keep your ego, or you need to keep your expertise aside and work on the basics of these grammatical concepts, right? And sometimes things seem to be very appealing when you see it, right? When you see a sentence, you feel like it's correct. But when you see the grammatical concept of the sentence, it's not, it might not be that correct. There are some things that might be missing. So I think delving into the grammatical concept, that's why I joined this coaching center where I was taught about the basics of grammatical concepts. And I started making notes about it. I started applying those on the questions that I was solving. And I saw a great significant improvement in the marks that I was getting in my mocks. So it's very important to get your basics correct for sentence correction. And for RC, you need to make sure that you solve all the questions from the official guidebooks, all types of questions.
Okay.
So there are different types of questions. There are some questions which are specifically asked in LSAT, where the lines are numbered, right? So they mention the line number 5, line number 10. You have to answer the question from line number 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, something of that sort. So you need to make sure that you solve a lot of questions, because you need to improve your reading and understanding of questions. And that will come only from either being a voracious reader or solving a lot of questions. So if you have limited time, solve a lot of sets. So RC is the only section where you can take the help of any of the external materials, because that is going to help you improve your reading comprehension skills.
Right.
Apart from that, I would not recommend using a GMAT club or any external vendors for sentence correction or maybe critical reasoning. But for RC, you can definitely have a look at it. And one more thing that helped me score really well was using a tracker. So I think you must have also used a tracker for seeing how you have been doing in all the sections. So generally, official guide provides you with your Excel tracker, in which you can solve questions and put your options there, and the tracker will let you know that whether you have done wrong, how many people have done wrong, whether the question is easy, hard, or difficult. They segregate all these questions in the tracker itself. So via the Excel tracker, you would get to know that you are doing well in one of the sections and you are not doing well in another section. Plus, in RCs, the RCs are segregated into different topics such as economical, political, theoretical concepts, abstract topics. So in that tracker, all the RCs are segregated into these topics. So you would understand which topic is your strong suit. So for me, technology, economics, and political were my strong suit. So I stepped out of my comfort zone and started reading different articles which are not from these topics to to make sure that I have a strong comprehension in these topics as well. So that helped me with my reading comprehension, both in CAT and GMAT.
Okay, that's great. So for RC, again, you said again to reiterate that you can take help from any sources,
Yes,
not
yes,
only official sources, just to improve your
right.
communication skills.
Comprehension, yes,
Huh.
yes.
So Ameya is asking how to improve the speed at solving verbal question. So
So, I mean, so practice is the only key here. So once you have solved the entire OG book and the verbal review book, you would have accumulated a lot of confidence in solving all these questions. Uh,
right.
so, so the key here is to solve the OG book as many times as possible. So I have done the entire OG book 3 times for both my attempts, and every time I approach a question, I open up my mind, and I do not feel like I remember the question and I remember the option, and then I directly mark that option. So I make sure that I apply concepts that I have learned, and then only I mark the answer for that question. That was my trick of solving questions effectively. Once you have your basics clear in sentence correction, once you have solved enough RC caselets, and once you have your critical reasoning figured out as well, I think your speed will automatically increase.
Also, I want to add one point here to improve the speed, the overall speed. Just master SC. You
Right,
know, if ST is mastered, you'll automatically save a lot of time for
right,
RC.
right, right,
And that happened with me also. I remember I was very bad in critical reasoning. It was my Achilles heel. Like I still cannot solve critical reasoning questions in GMAT. But one of my close friends was uh, preparing for GMAT last year, and I happened to just flip through his sentence correction, and I can still solve 100% of the
right,
sentence correction
right,
correctly. I mean, my accuracy in sentence correction is still 100% because I really practiced a lot back then, 6, 7 years ago. So it helps. Like it helped me. I knew that I couldn't even get the easy questions of critical reasoning correct. So until unless they're very easy. So I think for me the 730 was the reason that I had a lot of time in RC because I could finish the sentence correction in 10 to 15 seconds, and then I took a lot of time in RC, and I knew if I read it properly I'll get it right, and I knew no
absolutely.
matter what I do, critical reasoning is not going to happen from my side. So again, Amir, this is one thing that I would also suggest. Please master sentence correction. If you master sentence correction, you'll realize you are able to do everything very quickly in the verbal section. Okay,
And
great.
for critical reasoning as well, I would like to add some points
Yes,
here.
please.
So I realized that I was not very well in the bold faced type of questions, right? So I was doing well in the strengthening and weakening types of questions, but the bold faced questions I was facing some difficulty. So you need to understand what are your strong points and what are your weak points, and that will only come via taking mocks and solving questions from the official guidebook. So once you have figured out your strong points, you can just, practice them, but keep them on hold and work on your weaker points to improve your overall complexity, over your overall strength in that entire section.
Right. So, Amaze has also asked, what is your base score like before you started your preparation? Like
Right. So
maybe in your diagnostic mock or something.
yeah, right. So I scored a 650, and I had a Q49 and somewhere around V29, V30 in my base mock. And I realized that I need to work really hard in some of the sections such as sentence correction and critical reasoning, bold face, and some of the RCs as well. Plus data sufficiency is where I scored. I was really good at problem solving because I've been solving a lot of questions on the CAT module, and CAT has comparatively difficult quant section as compared to the GMAT section, and verbal section is completely reverse. So I had a very strong grip in problem solving, but I faced a lot of problem data sufficiency. So I think I scored a Q48 or 49 and V29 or V28 in my first mock. So that was the first baseline. Then I did not take any mock for 1.5, 2 months. I realized that I do not want to demoralize myself by taking a mock before preparing for the entire syllabus. So I completed 60% of the syllabus, and then I moved on to take a mock again, and then I scored a 670 or 680, and I was very content with my attempt because I made sure that the things I did wrong in my first mock, I have rectified some of them, and I was on track of scoring a 700 score.
Okay. Fine enough. So, Suvidha has asked, what should be the clear strategy to get 740? Again, it's a very, uh, I mean, it cannot be really explained in a call, but what are
Yeah.
the top five things one should do to get a 740 according to you?
Yes. Target for a Q50 or Q51. That's
Hmm.
the first thing. You need to make sure that your easier questions are solved correctly for sure. Otherwise, you will never be touching Q50. That's a guru mantra for getting a Q50 score. You need to make sure that your easy questions are correct. That's one. Sentence correction has to be top notch, as you have mentioned as well. For a good verbal score, you need to make sure that your SC is top notch, so that you can focus on spending more time on RC and critical reasoning. That's number two. The third thing is you need to make sure that you have covered the ins and outs of the entire official guide, verbal review, and quant review book. That's the holy bible of GMAT preparation, in my opinion. You should not look for any other options apart from these three books. Once you are done with these three books, then you can look for alternative options such as mocks or sectional test, maybe. But uh, mark my word, take my words on this. If you have done this book religiously, you will be through. I mean, you do not need any other preparation material. So that's third. And fourth would be to dedicate some time on your weaknesses. It's very important to solve a lot of questions on the topics that you're not very strong with, because you keep on procrastinating and you keep on thinking that I'll work on my strong sections and I'll let go of my weak sections. But you would never know that these questions might come as a part of the easier sets, and you can flunk on those questions and you can get a lower score on your examination. And very important part is to complete your entire examination. I'm not sure whether a lot of people are aware. You have a penalty of not completing your entire examination as well. So if you leave questions, you have a very high penalty in the GMAT examination, right? So one reason of me not able to get a Q51 score is I have left one or two questions in both my attempts.
So,
So if you
even in your second attempt.
yes, I could not complete the entire section of quant. I think I left one question in my second attempt and three questions in my first attempt. But I think my accuracy was way better in my second attempt as compared to first attempt. That's why I ended up scoring same marks. So that's the thing. So do not leave any questions. So for that you need to be very very strong with the concepts, and you need to be very fast solver of all these questions, right? And that comes with practice, and practice is the only key here. So take your time. Do not rush. I see a lot of queries in which people ask me that can I complete the entire syllabus in 1.5 2 months. You do not have to rush yourself. If you have a good baseline, if you are scoring 700 720 in your first baseline marks, then absolutely I think you have your base cleared and you have your path cleared. Then you can maybe target this examination in 1.5 months. But if you have certain nuances, I would suggest taking your time and then applying for the actual examination rather than just jumping and taking the examination in 1.5 2 months, right? So take your time. When you think that you have the capabilities of scoring 700 plus, then only schedule your actual examination. So that's my take here.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Utkarsh. Aishwarya has asked another question: pros and cons of giving take-home GMAT. Do you have any opinion on that? Like take home as an at
So
home.
yeah. So my first attempt was an offline attempt, and my second attempt was an online attempt. So I can talk about both the attempts and the pros and cons of what happens in those attempts. So for the take home, I mean the at home attempt, I was very calm and at my own pace, right? So I was not in the examination stress, examination pressure, but which happens in the actual examination or maybe the in-center examination, right? So it was very calm, and that helped me soothe my entire test. Was very calm, and I was able to. It felt like I was not giving an actual examination, and that took a lot of stress and burden away from me. I think that was one of the reasons that helped me propel to a 770 score. Uh, so the pros are, I mean, you get a home-like vibe, and you can sit on your exact space or exact time, and you have been practicing the mocks or maybe the practicing the question. So you are at your own pace, and you don't have any tension as such. The pros for the in-center examination is if you have any glitches or if you have any problems, you can directly reach out the people concerned, and you do not have to worry about the internet connection, etc., because it is taken care by the center itself. So the only concern about the home version of the GMAT examination was maybe my internet can go wrong, maybe I can face a lot of problem, and my exam can be discarded. So that's the fear that is there with every person who has been taking the examination from home. Apart from that, I think my take-home GMAT examination was very smooth, and sitting in my room, sitting in my own comfort zone, helped me really take off the burden of the actual examination. So that's something that people can try. I have seen a lot of people who have been scoring 700 plus in their mock examinations, but flunking on their actual examination because of the stress that happens on the in-center examination. And I've suggested them to take the in-home version of the GMAT examination, and then they have done really well because of the burden getting shed off from their shoulders or their minds. So that is something that people can consider. But a lot of Indian B schools have scrapped taking the in-home version, the home GMAT version. So yeah, take that into consideration as well, and then only apply for the
Yes.
examination.
So even my advice would be to please ask your schools. Many people are applying to schools abroad as well. Please ask your schools if they will take it or not, because this is a new phenomenon. It came during COVID. It might go back again.
Right.
Also, one of my mentees had a 716 take-home GMAT, but they canceled their score. They said that you did something which you're not supposed to do, so we are canceling it. He kept contesting that decision. He sent a lot of mails and they said, okay, we'll look into it. But finally, at the end also, they didn't agree. They canceled their score without giving any reason. And this has
Right.
happened just a few months ago. Not even a few months. I think it happened around January or December. So, I mean, know all your risks before you take at home.
Exactly. Right.
And more important than that, ask your schools, ask your target schools if they're accepting. Things might change every day. I mean, things change every month. One of the schools might be accepting, but they might as well just write on their website that they are not accepting it anymore. So please figure out what exactly is
Right.
your, you know, what exactly is your target school's decision about take home at home GMAT. Okay, perfect. So, Utkarsh, parting remarks. Uh, for how many months one should prepare if someone is preparing from scratch? What all the materials that they need, and very important question: how much money they need to spend on preparation?
Right. Right. So I'll start with a very typical MBA answer. It depends. It depends on
Of
your
course.
baseline. It depends on where you stand with your preparation and what's the base that you're standing
Hmm.
on. If you have a very strong base in quant, then my estimate would be 4 to 5 months
Okay.
for getting a 94th percentile, 95th percentile score. Right, 730, 740. I would suggest 4 to 5 months of dedicated preparation. If you have a very strong base in quant, if you do not have a very strong base in both quant and verbal, it might take longer. That's the thing, right? Uh, Resources I have mentioned: the OG book, verbal review, quant review, and the mocks. Right, 6 mocks are definitely the most reliable mocks from MBA.com, and they are the closest to the actual examination as well.
Also, you
So
can reset the mocks and get new questions, right?
yes, you can do that. Right, you can do that. You can reset the mocks and you will get a new fresh set of questions in those mocks. Right.
How
So
many times can you reset and keep getting new questions?
I'm not sure. I've done this twice. I'm not sure how many times we can do that, but I've done this twice.
Twice for every mock.
No, not twice for every mock. Some of the mocks, some of the paid mocks.
And but you can reset all the mocks, paid
Yes,
and
but I think you can log in from multiple accounts and you can see if you're getting different questions for the pre mocks as well. So that's one of the things that you can do to check whether the mocks are getting reset or not. Right. So that's one thing. These 6 mocks are very important because they are the actual replica of how the examination is going to be.
right.
Plus, the user interface is very similar. I think it's not very similar; it's completely similar to actual examination. So
Hmm.
to get acquainted with the actual examination, these six mocks are very very important.
Hmm.
Uh, and so the coaching, for GMAT is generally for 6 months. And if you want to upgrade your subscription, you need to pay some extra amount, but it's mostly for 5 to 6 months. So on an average, they charge 25 to 30K for that 6 months of coaching.
Hmm.
And the mocks are a bit costly. I think for my 4 paid mocks of MB.com, I had to pay $70 as such. So that's approximately 6,000 to 7,000 for 4 mocks. and
But
I have
that's
to
worth
pay.
it, I guess, because you cannot
Absolutely,
get better preparation.
absolutely.
Hmm.
That are completely the replica of an exact examination, and I would recommend, just to be very sure about your preparation, you need to take those marks, right? So 6 marks from MBA.com and the official guidebook. If you think that you're not able to work with the soft copies, go for the hard copies. They are, I mean, they cost somewhere around 8 to 9,000 rupees, right? So
No,
that's
no, no. I
again,
think they cost 2,000 to
no, no, for the
2,500, na? Or they,
no, no, for the three bundle, for the entire bucket.
oh,
OG,
even
verbal review,
during my
and
time, the
quantity.
three bundle used to cost 2,400 rupees. Now they're 8,000.
So
Oh God.
yeah, they have some privacy, sorry, piracy issues as well, right? So they have been, Amazon have been selling a lot of pirated copies, and they are sold for cheaper cost. But the actual, if you buy it from the MB.com website, that will cost around somewhere around 6 to 7,000 rupees.
Hmm.
So that's something I need to check. But yeah, it's
No,
somewhere in that
right
approximately.
now, right now the real one by GMAT, the OG is costing 2,000.
Right,
QR is costing 855.
right,
And oh, they have a bundle by GMAT itself on Amazon,
right,
and it is costing 4,000. Includes all
right,
three,
right, right,
just for
right,
everyone's information.
right,
And it's the latest 2022 version.
right, right. So people can
Okay.
buy that as well. Plus, pirated copies are also available. If they think
Yeah.
that they can work with the pirated copies, they are free to do so. So that's something that they need to invest on. And apart from that, once you are done, so the actual examination is 22,000 rupees. It costs you 22,000 rupees, approximately $300 is what it costs you. And one more thing, I have rescheduled my examination thrice. Basically, I've been contemplating
What?
on, yeah, I was contemplating on whether I was prepared or not. So again, that also costs a lot of money, 3,500 rupees for every rescheduling. So yeah, make sure that you have your mind and thought process clear before scheduling the examination. Otherwise, you would have to pay premium, just like me. Uh,
Oh,
so
yeah.
just for the context, CAT examination, for the fees of CAT examination is 2,200 rupees. So for rescheduling the GMAT examination, you need to pay higher cost as compared to what you need to pay for the CAT examination
No,
itself.
but the cat is not in your hands. Na cat happens once a year.
Yeah, right. That's, I mean,
You
that's really, really good
cannot really
for,
compare because cat is
yes,
all cat is
five
very
attempts, 5 attempts in a year, anytime you want, and eight attempts in your lifetime. So that gives you a good leverage, a good liberty of when you want to write an examination, what you want to do with those scores.
There is a book which used to be very famous during my time also, and I can see it currently on my Amazon as well. GMAT Official Advanced Question. Do you have any opinion on these advanced questions
Yes,
book?
yes. So I was recommended to solve these questions, but I never opened those. I've
Is
never
it
opened that book
is it
and
very
solved those questions.
difficult?
Uh, yes, it's sort of difficult from what is asked. So if somebody is targeting a Q51 score, then they can look for it. But I think anybody who's preparing for CAT examination would have hang of all those questions. So I did not open the advanced GMAT book. But yeah, people targeting for a higher score, say Q51 or V48, V47, should solve those questions from that book as well.
Okay, perfect. Great. Uh, so I think we do not have any more questions. Okay.
So
Amay is
I think
asking
I have,
what would be the reliable number of questions in verbal and quants both. So to do well, what do you think,
uh,
Utkarsh?
again, reliable questions, right? Number of questions is what is being asked, right? So again, it depends. So since it's an adaptive examination, if you keep on doing correct questions, you'll be getting harder questions, and if you keep on doing wrong questions, you'll be getting easier questions. So you might end up doing a lot of questions correct in the later phase, but that might not add a lot of value to the overall score because you have done mistakes in your first half, right? So the number of questions doesn't matter here. So basically, what matters is you need to solve correct questions in the first half, and then you can have some liberty in the later half of the GMAT examination or a sectional attempt, right? So the number of questions do not matter. I have seen people scoring a V40 with 23 out of 36 correct, as compared to I've also seen people scoring a V30 with 24 out of 36 correct. right? So this happens. So if you solve your initial questions wrong, you'll get the later half as an easier part, which will not add a lot of value to your final score. So that's the thing. So the number of questions do not matter in the actual GMAT examination. What matters is your accuracy. Accuracy in the first half, at least.
Okay. Ritin is asking what are the things required to attempt at home, like specifically for rough work.
Right. So initially they launched this virtual whiteboard, but that was not very effective and not very friendly. So they have allowed to get a whiteboard of some dimension. You can see the dimensions on the website itself. So you
You
can
cannot
have
do
a
rough with paper
no,
and pen.
no. You need to have a whiteboard and a duster. That's mandatory, right?
Oh.
And
And
they'll
how do
specify the
they
dimension,
ensure that you have everything,
everything as
like
in.
you are not using rough page or something? How do they ensure?
Uh, so they keep on asking to show your this whiteboard at regular intervals, right?
Oh,
They tell
okay.
you to show your whiteboard in say 15-20 minutes, and we have to show that whiteboard in front of the camera, and then we can take it off and start working on our module. So that's the thing. You cannot use, and again, after the section ends, they'll check the entire thing from the camera itself, whether you have used any pages or anything is there at your proximity. That is what they have been doing for fairness. I'm not sure how fair or how justified is that, but yeah, that is what they have been doing.
And how do they ensure that you are the same person who has signed up for the mock, signed up for the exam?
So they use this passport, right? So passport verification. That is what is there in the in center examination as well. So your passport would be your identifier. So they check that and they check your face, and then only they allow you to take the examination.
Okay, great.
So that's the only thing that they do, and that is being followed in the TOEFL, IELTS, and other examinations as well.
IELTS doesn't happen at home. IELTS happen
TOEFL
in the
happens at
center.
home. TOEFL happens at home.
Okay, okay, okay. Great. Uh, Thank you, Utkarsh. We do not have any more questions, so we can end this session. But thanks a lot for your time again. And I'm pretty sure people who joined would find this session really, really helpful.
Absolutely.
And
It was a pleasure to be a part of this session, and thank you so much for inviting me. And anybody
thank
who
you, and
has,
all the best for everything that that awaits you in your future.
I've just completed my first year, and I think I'm en route to becoming a good MBA professional. So thank you so
Definitely,
much for
definitely,
that.
and your success story would definitely inspire many people. Many people right now who are working with me as well, they are right now in the preparation stage. So this would be massively useful for them. So thank you, Ritin and Aditya saying thank you as well. Bhargavi saying thank you. So great, and all the best to everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.